Find me, Jose Monkey.
You asked me to figure out where this video was recorded, so I did. Hi, I'm Jose Monkey, and I find people who ask to be found. Guys, when I first saw this one, I thought it was going to be super easy, because when I first looked at the video, I could see what I thought were multiple signs for businesses, and I figured there'd be a license plate or something to help me narrow it down to a particular state. But boy was I wrong. It's a very brief video. Check it out.
Find me, Jose Monkey.
So what can we see? Okay, so the first sign that we see is for a Five Below store. But other than that, it's actually really hard to read any of these signs. The video is just too dark, and it makes all the lighted signs kind of blown out and overexposed, and it makes them very difficult to read. I could see the sign for the business next to the Five Below, and it looked like it started and ended with the letter S. I'll come back to that. Other than the signs, I noted some other things about this place. I could see that we had these peaked dormers on the roof. I also noticed what looked like these metal decorative fence type things on the roof. Those seemed fairly distinctive to me. And from what we see, it looks like this shopping center is kind of L-shaped here, but we can't actually see all the way to the left or all the way to the right. So for all we know, it might be like C-shaped. And guys, that was about all I could see in the video. Now, if I'd been able to clearly see multiple store names, I could have done the kind of proximity searches I've done in the past, where I do search for store A close to store B. But all I could be sure of was the Five Below. And guys, there are over 1,500 Five Below stores in the United States. I had to figure out an approach for this. I tried looking at that other sign a bit more, but other than the fact that it started and ended with an S, I really was not coming up with very much. But I couldn't just search for all locations that started and ended with the letter S. Well, technically I could. I could write a regular expression to match that pattern and just pull back every single object from the OpenStreetMap database that matched. But there are lots of reasons not to do that. While it can be tempting to cast a wide net when doing a search like this, when dealing with very large datasets, it behooves you to try to get your query as tight as you can. You want to try to keep it to a manageable number of objects, not just to save yourself time, but also to save resources. If you try to do a query that processes too many objects, it often will time out or run out of memory or things like that. And in this case, I was going to be searching the entire United States, so I was likely to get a very large number of objects if I wasn't careful. So I had to tighten up my query. It seemed to me that one obvious optimization would be to limit my search to only names that had a single word. From what I could see in the video, it did not appear that there was a space in this name. If I didn't do that, my search would potentially match things like 2nd Street Seasonals, which is a florist in Nevada, or San Angelo Sewage Ponds in Texas. So I only wanted single word matches, but that could still match other things that I didn't want to match, like restaurants like Sweet Peas in Auburn, California, or the many, many Starbucks locations around the country. So to avoid that, I wanted to also limit my query to only return stores or shops, not restaurants or cafes or any other thing. Now that was a bit of a risk because I didn't know what this business was. Like, maybe it was a cafe. But my gut was telling me that it was a store, so I went with that. And after all that, I came up with this very ugly looking set of statements that I was going to use to query the OpenStreetMap database. So I just searched the entire United States for places that matched that query and also were within 50 meters of a Five Below location. That's about 164 feet. By the way, I did not include Alaska or Hawaii because 1, I didn't think it was either of those locations, and 2, Five Below does not have stores in those states. To my surprise, that query returned a short list of only 20 results, and they were mostly in the Northeast or Mid-Atlantic regions. So I just started checking them out. I knew that I'd be looking for shopping centers that were either L-shaped or C-shaped, so I skipped any strip malls or things that just didn't look like that. And I found one location that looked very promising. The shape of the shopping center seemed like it could be right, and we had a Five Below store right near a Staples, which could be the mystery store in our video. Also, the peaked dormers on the roof looked like what I saw in the video. But when I checked out the Google Street View, it didn't look exactly right. We didn't have those fence things on the roof, and the color of the brick didn't look exactly the same. Fortunately, I was able to find some clues that helped me confirm that this was the right place. But I'll tell you more about that after the reveal, because guys, that was it. You were at the Concord Gallery Shopping Center in Wilmington, Delaware. I noticed that the Google Street View photos were slightly old. Most of them were from 2020 or before. So I looked at a few photos from the businesses that were in that shopping center to see if I could find any that were more recent. And the first several that I checked all looked the same and didn't look like what I saw in the video. But I found a user-submitted photo for the Mission Barbecue that is in that shopping center. That photo was from just a few months ago, and we could see that the brick had been painted a lighter color, and we had those decorative fence things on the roof. So I'm fairly certain that this is the right place. Based on what we can see in the video, I believe that you were standing in this parking space. Okay, it's time to check which previous location is closest to this one. And this is crazy, guys, because the closest previous video is actually the last video I did in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania. That's only about 18 miles or 29 kilometers away from this spot. Guys, check out the map of all the places I've found for you so far. And while you're on my site, maybe go check out my store if you like that sort of thing. And if anybody else wants me to find them, record a video where you say, "Find me, Jose Monkey," or something like that, on camera, or hold up a sign that says something similar. And don't forget to tag me in a comment on that video.